Good evening, everyone. I am very honored to introduce Martin Creed tonight. He's one of the most important British artists. He won the Turner Prize in 2001, and his voice is one of the most famous and important in the scene of British art today. And I think that is very important that very important to frame the work and the research of Martin Creed within the research of the cluster beyond entropy when energy becomes form that AA is organizing. And I always want to mention one of the important statements that lead us into the research of the notion of energy that we aim to reconfigure. And it's like a quotation from the scientific autobiography by Aldo Rossi. Max Planck was thrilled by the fact that work is not dissipated, but it remains stored for many years, never diminished, latent, in a block of stone, until one day it may happen that this same block falls upon a passerby and kills him. Indeed, in every artist or scientist, the principle of continuation of energy is interlinked with the research of happiness and of death. Even in architecture, this research is related to the material and to energy. Without this observation, it is not possible to understand any construction, neither from the static point of view, nor from the formal point of view. And I think that this is a very beautiful introduction for the witty and ungraspable research of Martin Creed as well. Thank you, Martin.
Thanks. I was thinking that I was trying to think about on the way here. I was trying to think about why I was coming here, and I was thinking that maybe it's probably that I was thinking I was trying to think of good reasons why I am here, or why but this was earlier, so this was why I was coming here, and I was. And of course, I was invited to come here. So it was a reaction to that. I think the reason I'm here is because I want to make my life better. So I'm here because I want to feel better, and I thought that by coming here, that maybe I would feel better, and so that's why I'm here, and I think that's also why I work. It's the same. It's not This is not different for me than trying to make a so-called work. Or when I say a work, I mean it. I think something like a piece of something exhibited, let's say in a gallery or somewhere where people can look at it. That's what I think of when I say work or something like that. But I don't think that the more I work, I think the less the more I work, the more I think I don't know what I'm doing. I don't really know why I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't, and when I think about it, I can't, because I go around, like, my experience includes having a lot of feelings about things, and thinking about things, and trying to do things, but I don't really know, how it all kind of matches up, and I don't accept that. I think that I'm accept that. Yeah, the only thing that really rings true to me is that is the feeling that that I want to that I don't really feel that good, and I want to, in general, and I want to try and feel better. So and that's why I work. I was recently, because I've been working on a book of my work recently, and it's a book of all of the work that I've made, and I've been working on this for a few years, and while I've been working on it, the more I've worked on it, the more I've thought that I don't really know what it is that I've done. The work that I've exhibited in art galleries and places like that, they're the things that I think are my work. But I don't really know what my work is. I think that maybe work, I was on an airplane recently, and I was trying to write an email on my BlackBerry, and while I was trying to write this email on my BlackBerry, the guy in front of me turned round and hit my leg quite violently, and without realizing it, I'd been like shaking my leg against the guy's seat, and it seems to me that that is, that's quite typical of how things go. That is that I think that I'm writing a BlackBerry, writing an email, but to everyone else, I'm shaking my leg, and so I think it's impossible to know what you're doing, and it's impossible to know what you do does to other people, and I think that for that reason you may as well, not. Maybe you may as well not try not to think about that too much. The other thought I had about what working is like is that maybe it's like sweating, and or something like that. Your work is like stains of sweat. That is that it's what you make while you think you're doing something else. Like maybe you're playing tennis or whatever, and but what you're making is sweat, and it's quite difficult to control your sweat, except by using kind of deodorant or by wearing kind of clothes that are more ventilated. But I think I think maybe the function of a work for me is to try and make me feel better. And I think that that could be done in lots of different ways. Like maybe for example, if I make something that someone else likes, then maybe they'll like me, and that would make me feel better. Or if I make something that I find exciting and kind of exciting in some way, that makes me feel that makes me happy, I could show you something. Maybe I'll try to show you something from. Maybe we could have the website. This has got sound in it. It's that doesn't seem to be working. It's a film. I think, can you switch it off? Because I don't. But maybe it's better to talk without pictures. But I think the difficult thing I think it's very difficult to know, what to do, and because most of the time I just feel like, like I really want to do something, but I don't really know, what that might be, and I don't. And so I'm kind of scrabbling around for something to do. But thinking about thinking of like trying to analyze what happens when you're living and trying to get through life makes me like for me life is just a kind of big blobby soup of feelings and things and thoughts and it kind of it's like a big soup. But one of the few things I can I feel like I can see that happens in that soup is that I like what I do apart from having all these feelings and stuff is that I move my body. So that's what I do, and because it's very difficult. I can more or less see that I move my body, and that's about all I can really see. You know, I can't really understand what happens in my head, and that just seems like a bit of a mess. And in my heart, it's more or less the same kind of mess. But I think I can see that I move around. You know, I find myself moving around, and if I think about what you have to do to let's say make a work, let's say make a painting, you know, what you have to do is make enough movements of your own body to complete that work, and whether that involves, you know, waving your arm around with a paintbrush at the end of it, or talking on the phone and telling someone else what to do, or whatever it may be. It involves movements, and so maybe you could work better by moving better. You know, that's what I've been thinking about. That maybe if you can hone down your movements into so that each movement you make is more is kind of better. But when I say better, I don't really is more perhaps more likely to lead to you feeling better. I think something like that. I made a work last year which consisted of a person running through the gallery, and well, it didn't need to be a gallery, but it was exhibited in a gallery, and I thought of that as something that came from some of these kind of thoughts that I had about how life consists of movement, and all the other parts of life are much more difficult to, certainly much more difficult to display. Because I think that when it comes to trying to display something for the enjoyment or entertainment of other people, which is what I think I'm trying to more or less do. I think that you can't that you can only the only thing you can see is the surface. You know, you can't, and you can only see the colours and shapes and the movement, and the rest of it you can't see. So all the blobby stuff, you know, is difficult to present. So and I don't know. So yeah, but so any questions? I think was there anything that was confusing about that? Oh yeah. No, I don't know that.
Oh. So you know your wonderful music. Do you number that as one of your numbers in your work?
Yeah, I do.
Because you're performing in Brighton on the 18th, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
I thought I'd give you a plug there.
Oh, thanks. Oh yeah, but I don't. You know, I think that music and other forms of other. I don't think there's any difference between, you know, between all the different things you can do. You know.
Could this lecture be another number?
Well, I think of doing talks like this as much as much work for me as making a thing to exhibit or a song or whatever. But the things that I give numbers to are the thing I think that are the things that are more or less repeatable or something like that. So, but I don't think I don't distinguish between, going down to the shops to get a cup of coffee, or making a painting or something like that. It all involves movements, and towards a certain end, and but I don't. Also, I think that because I think often, because I do some things. I try to do music and other different things, but I don't think that. I don't think that is. I don't think that that's really necessarily, in itself, like a. I don't think because I think that if something works, it doesn't. It works because of the people looking at it or listening to it, so they make the work when they're, if I listen to a song, I can't like it, I make it mine, it's mine. It might be someone else singing it, but it's mine if I'm especially if I'm into it, If I'm not into it, I think it's not mine, But so then the song isn't. Then it's the material that the work is made from is really not really relevant because the real work is in your head or your heart or So the work you're presented with, whether it's painting or a song or a whatever, it's just like it's just a decoy really, or something like that. It's like yeah. Is there any more? Any more questions? I think that.
Hi.
Hi.
Do you find it hard to give presents?
That's because it was your birthday the other day. Is that why you mentioned that? Yeah, I do. Well, I don't know. I think that giving presents is always an expression of yourself, and I think often presents are more for the people giving them than they are for the person receiving them, which is also what I think about questions as well, And, but I often think that I think that giving is also can often be a form of aggression as well, So like an attack,
Yeah, hi. Just going back to that issue of relevance that you touched on earlier.
The
you
what?
mentioned
Sorry,
that
the what?
issue of relevance. You're talking about maybe things aren't, things are only relevant in your head and not so much in the real world, let's say.
Say it again about relevance.
Well, the question actually is that you mentioned that the project in the Duveen galleries happened to take place in the gallery, but it could have taken, you suggested it could have taken place anywhere. My question is if the location of a project is important to you.
Yeah, it's very important. But I think that art galleries are theatres designed for looking at things, and but that's all. But that's all. And they're not any. So work could be exhibited anywhere. But a gallery which is also a well-known gallery where people go to see things is it's great to be invited to exhibit in such a place, but I think it's important to remember that it's not that it is just a theatre designed for looking at things, and that's it's a venue, like just like this is, and
When you make your work, I'm wondering how important and also how possible is it to understand what you've done? And then secondly, how important is it to you or possible to explain that to other people? Or is it enough for you just to let the work exist on its own? And obviously you're making a book of your work for certain reasons, so I'm just curious what the relationship with understanding and explanation is for you.
What was the last thing again?
Why are you making a book?
Because I want my work to be promoted worldwide.
Do you think it's important to have to explain your work to other people, though?
No, I don't. But no, I don't think it's important. In general, the artists have to explain their work. No, not at all. I don't see why, But I like trying to talk about work. But for me, that's because I want to try and understand something about, because I feel I don't understand my work or why I do it exactly. I've said something tonight about why I think I do it, but that I do not mean to say that I think that I know why I do things or that I can understand at all my work, But I do think it very strongly has to do with, trying to feel better myself, because I think it's life's quite hard, and it feels all like kind of all the time, and work, and in my experience, work is like something you make can make you feel better, but also but also, I think that, like for example, talking about my work as I am now makes me the centre of attention, in the room, and especially if I've got a microphone, and that is something that I like, and I think that most artists' work is, primarily a demand for attention, like a desire to be loved or something like that. And the work they do, so that's kind of selfish, but it's not selfish in the sense that to be loved, many people try to do things that other people will like, it's because otherwise no one's going to, like it. But I think it's something like that, Oh yeah.
Do you mean that you're trying when you make work that make something that could please people, or
Do what?
do you mean that when you make a work, you think about the fact that it have to please people in a way, or just more going along your own interests, or just ignoring the fact that it could be loved liked by people or not?
I don't know. Well, I want people to. I don't know about making work to please people. I don't. But I want people to like my work. Or to like me and my work. But my work being what I leave behind me. But yeah, I do. I think if it pleases people, I don't know exactly what you mean by please, but I think if it pleases people, yeah, I would like to please people. But yeah.
What is the relationship between disorder and aggressiveness when you stack the tables one on top of each other, or when you stack the chairs, or when you stack the beams? How does it relate to aggressiveness and to form?
Aggressiveness?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You said it before.
Do what?
You said it before. You used
Did
the
I?
word aggressive.
Did I?
Attack.
Oh my God. Wait. About the... Ah, really? But well, it made the question made me think that I don't know. Well, I think that I think that doing things is that is always contains an element of aggression, because the ultimate, I suppose, mind you, not doing things can be quite aggressive as well. Like those people that serve in Starbucks. I don't know about that. It's a difficult question. But I think that aggression is definitely definitely. Well, work's probably quite a big vent for aggression, But, and I don't know. I don't really. Well, I don't think that my work really has subject matter, But other than other than the what it is made of, In other words, that it's not trying to tell a. It's not a picture of something else, other than what it is. But 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 there's talking about or thinking about talking about your work. I think there's a difference between those people that make things that are separate from themselves and those people who do things themselves. Let's say performers who use their own body to do something, and although well, I'm getting confused, but I was thinking, that you can't that like a thing you make separate from yourself. That is like a sort of like the way that visual artists do. That thing is like a kind of decoy, because it's like saying, instead of saying look at me, that's saying like look at that, and then I like go slipping around the side, and that is, maybe that's a kind of aggression or something like that. It's like, that, if you think about it in those terms, that's like a kind of army strategy, for getting through life. Make a decoy thing over there so you can slip around the side. And I think that's what a lot of visual artists do, and that is distinct and different from well, when if you're let's say performing or something like that, so that you're more or less in direct line with the decoy, or that you are kind of the decoy, but what am I bluffing you? I don't know. I can't tell, but I'm just trying to think of something to say. No. So, or trying to
At what point does something make you feel better? Is it when you have an idea, or at a certain point in your thinking, or when you see it completed and being taken off somewhere, or when you see people react to it? What is the "that's made me feel better" moment, if there is one? And I was also thinking about the pleasing people, because I find it quite difficult to see how those two things go together.
But I think it, I like trying to work, so maybe during the process of trying to work, that's when I feel a bit better, And then it's usually when the work's on display, then I'm very scared that people won't like it, or that I won't like it, or whatever, and then that's a kind of different thing. But after the work's finished as well, it can be, not. It doesn't necessarily. Then it's a matter, I think, of trying to let go of it, and not, because then it's not really mine anymore. So then maybe I don't really. Although I would, I think the feeling better thing is more the directly trying to work, and that is when I feel better. That's really exciting. I like that. It makes me get up in the morning. And whereas looking at things I've already done, although I might, feel a bit, like, it can be nice to think, oh yeah, I did that, but that doesn't really, help me. Help. In fact, I think it's not really very good to try. I don't think it's very helpful for me, like in working, to think about what you've done. It's better to try and start again every time, from zero, as if you haven't made anything, But also think that working is also not just trying to feel better in the sense of like happy. It's also trying to look for excitement or something like that, And I also think it's like hitting your, it's also maybe like hitting yourself to see if you can still, if you can feel things or something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
When you hear the word desire,
what?
When you hear the word desire, what is the first thing you think of?
What I want.
Nothing else?
That's what I think of. Those words, yeah. But I think that is I think that is what it's all about. Yeah, that is wanting to feel better, Oh yeah, or here, or there, or there. Oh.
I would like to go back to the initial consideration that you said when you referred to the action of making as something that goes beyond our intentions. Like you play tennis, but the actual making is a sweating. And this in a way relates to the effort of giving form to something, burning energy, producing something as a byproduct of what you're doing. And I really would like to go back to the original idea of the relationship between energy and form, and the chaos, which is the entropy that you find everywhere between thoughts, feelings, things, and how actually this effort of giving form to something, or organizing, or finding a hierarchy between things, informs your practice or your talks.
But I think that is, well, I move because I don't want to get stuck. I mean, I think it's like it's difficult to get out of bed in the morning. Because often, but then it's kind of horrible just to lie in bed because it's sort of in the end, it doesn't. Although it feels quite nice, in the end, it's not. Although it might be comfortable, it's not really that exciting unless someone else is with you, But then in the end, you're going to have to get up. I think maybe you don't have to get up, but I move to because I feel kind of stuck, and But I, in your description just now, that rings very true to me. That work is a byproduct of what you're doing, and it's just like shit and sweat, in a slightly more sort of self-consciously worked form, but you know, I do think that it's that working or like trying to come to terms with things is got a lot to do with other people. You know, so because we're all kind of in the partly because we're all in the soup together. So you know, so and company can make one feel better, but also because I feel like, you know, I want to be loved by other people. So that kind of affects, you know, what I do a lot, I think. And I lost the thread just now. But it's got some, I know, because it's got a lot to do with other people, and so that's what I was trying to, you know, it's the difference, because when I've been working on this book, you know, I've been sitting around, you know, or walking around, you know, looking at photos of my work, and the more I look at a lot of them, I just think, God, you know, like, it's like, who am I? I keep thinking, who am I to say what I have done, you know? And you know, and it feels like kind of like really wanky sort of thing to be trying to say myself what I've done when you know, I'm not really, because everything I've done is probably in relation to other people, and therefore, you know, I'm not really the so I don't think, I mean, I think I'm not particularly one to either talk about it or say what it is, you know. This is a really spongy floor, isn't it? Why is it so spongy? It's a dance floor. Oh yeah? Does it get used as a dance floor? Oh really? But when it's a dance floor, why is it covered at the moment? Is it because of the chairs? Ah, right. I see. But why couldn't they have just had the floor bare? Ah, this is the dance floor. This cardboard is the dance. Ah, right, I see. No, I wish I did feel like that. No, I just spend all my time like pissing around, you know, like sort of going to the supermarket repeatedly, and you know, buying bottles of water and toilet paper, you know, and then I have to come home and, you know, write some checks, you know. And I've got to phone someone and get angry because I'm frustrated about something I'm trying to do that, you know, I never bloody do. You know, that's what I do. But what I'm saying, but what I was trying to say is that, you know, I try to remain open-minded, you know, despite feeling, you know, quite close-minded, you know. I do. That I do have slides of my work on the internet. Yeah, it's here, but I thought that.
Very nice, because then you can because that'll be very nice to see you, your work, and your and the way you talk.
Oh yeah. But I used to do lectures with slides, and I stopped doing that because I thought it was shit. And the reason I thought it was shit, no, I mean I thought it wasn't that good, you know, and that is because I thought the slides are like a kind of I thought showing slides and trying to talk about work I thought it was impossible to talk about visual things.
Why? Because when you're doing it, you know what you're feeling while you're doing it.
But I don't know what I'm feeling.
Don't you?
No. No. No, I'm absolutely positive of that.
I don't know about that.
I think the thing to do is to not trust yourself. I think that's good advice.
Then who can you trust?
Nobody. But especially not yourself. Because I think everyone engages in really complicated and clever forms of self-denial and kind of a process of kind of shelving things that you can't deal with that are really difficult or something like that.
I thought your first love and last love is self-love.
What?
I thought your first love and last love is self-love.
Me personally? Maybe. But I think that's what I've been trying to say. Look, it's a work. But actually, I have to go really soon. I'm really sorry, but but more. I don't know. But I thought that slides were like a kind of decoy escape hatch out of the room. And that's what I used to think when I showed slides. Because I was talking about something that wasn't there, you know, saying, "Look at this," you know, and so I felt like I was avoiding trying to talk. I thought, what?
Your feelings were there.
Were they?
Yeah.
Where? I can't see them. Because I think you can't see feelings. You can only see colours and shapes. And so, you know, so if you try and you can't make a feeling. You can only you can only mould materials to a certain shape, colour, and composition. You know, the feelings are made by other people when they look at the things. And then I have feelings too, you know. But you know, but Yeah, but that is exactly what I've been trying to talk about. Yeah, no, but that is, I'm trying to be more specific by talking like this. Exactly. Because I think that you can't, or rather, I think that if it's very difficult to talk about what you can see. So, what? Me? No, I don't do poetry. When? I don't know. I've got there's a work of mine on the front of the Tate, Britain, at the moment, on the facade of the building, which is up for a few months. So that's. And my next show is, I don't know when.
I have a question. I'm a bit confused. Do you think we're wasting our time sitting here and laughing?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question. Be specific about something. That is what I've been trying to be. But I'll try to talk about a specific work. So that's a sculpture consisting of 5 trees, and each tree is a different species of tree, and they go from small to big. And I calculated it so that this one, when it's fully grown, when they're fully grown, they'll still be in a line like that. But the biggest one will be like 80 feet high or whatever. And the small one will be about 12 feet high. And I don't really know about trees, but so they're all different kinds. The idea was that there should be the maximum variety that there could be growing in this particular climate. So they're all different kinds. So it's like a kind of family of trees. Why? It's in America, at Bard College. It's at Bard College in upstate New York. And that's similar, but with paint. So that's like one packet of paintbrushes, from big to small, and the biggest, I think it's difficult to compose pictures, so this tries to solve the problem of how it's difficult to compose, because by having the biggest brush do all the way along the bottom, and then all the other brushes are just miniaturization, all the other brush marks with are miniaturizations of the biggest one, which goes all along the bottom of the canvas. That's a sign saying small things, but I made it as big as I could make it. Oh, this is a film. I don't know if this is gonna. I know the films don't seem to work for some reason. So yeah. Any questions? Do you want an anecdote from when I made it? What?
Big fat brush to the very thinnest brush. What was the idea behind it?
There isn't an idea behind it. That the idea is contained in it. It's not. I don't think my work is not. Doesn't have ideas in it. I don't know what it has. Oh, yeah, no, I do know. No, I just forgot. It's got, what it has is, I think it's a relief. It's a relief. I think so. Yeah, I think of like if I want to trying to make works, I want to make works that are like to me like sort of diamonds, things that are sort of unbreakable, and a kind of yeah, some like a relief from the crazy world, So the kind of like a simple shape or a rhythm, simple rhythm, for me is a relief, And I find that for me, it's a comfort, is what for me, But I do think that the idea behind things is not. I don't think that's necessarily the idea in front of them. I think like the process of working. I think is like a. I can't do it with the microphone. It's like the process of working leads to this point in the middle, which is the finished work. And then beyond that, it expands outwards to all the people who look at the work, So there's but what happens before and what happens after I don't think are necessarily related, So the ideas that go into a work are not necessarily the ideas that people get out of them. But I say that because I think you can't control people, So there's no. And because in my experience, well, I try to control people, but I've never succeeded really to my satisfaction. And so I think you can't control people, so you may as well not try. But I don't think that I think people see what they want to see, So people find in works themselves, And I hope that there's something in my work for other people to find and take and use for themselves. But that's not necessarily what I put into it. They find that, and that's what I was trying to talk about before when I was saying that, when you listen to a song or look at something, it becomes yours. It's yours. It's not the artist's. Because you're listening to it or kind of experiencing it or whatever. I need to go, actually. I'm really sorry, because I've got a function to attend. And thanks a lot. Thanks.